Thank you, President Officer. Today, Parliament is using its time to talk about something that matters and has the power to do something about. We are talking about government secrecy, specifically about the desperate lengths the SNP go to in order to shut down legitimate and important public scrutiny. They should have preserved and handed over their WhatsApp messages to the COVID inquiry. But instead, they have chosen to be slippery and evasive. Presiding Officer, this all feels familiar. This is not the first time the SNP have run for the shadows when faced with the disinfecting sunlight of scrutiny. It was the exact same playbook they used during the Alex Salmond inquiry. Now, as then, they hide behind process. They delay, dodge and stonewall. They prevaricate, misremember and misrepresent. They deploy sophistry and selective amnesia, bad faith and bluster, point blank refusing to do the right thing. It's a broad spectrum of deceit, from the political equivalent of the dog ate my homework right through to a low cunning that would make Machiavelli blush. Presiding Officer, it was as painful and infuriating to watch then as a member of the public as it is now as an MSP. Back then, they failed alleged victims of sexual harassment by their former leader. Now, they are failing grieving families who lost loved ones to COVID. Both groups treated with disrespect, considered to be of less value to an SNP that will always prioritise the good of the party over the common good. Let's compare events. With the Salmond inquiry, they promised to cooperate fully, they promised transparency, they promised to freely hand over any and all material, just as they now do with the COVID inquiry. But what's happened then and what's happening now? Back then, Nicola Sturgeon held numerous meetings with Salmond while he was being investigated over sexual harassment complaints. No records were taken, or they may have been destroyed. We don't know for sure. And now, Sturgeon and others may have reportedly deleted WhatsApp messages. We don't know how many messages. We don't know what they said. It's likely that the people of Scotland will never know. With the Salmond inquiry, the SNP tried to prevent the release of documents. The inquiry complained of being obstructed. Let's not forget, this included SNP MSPs and the SNP convener. For the first time ever, Parliament had to resort to using a Section 23 order to force the release of documents. With the COVID inquiry, we see the same secretive agenda. Key evidence has to be dragged out of them. The inquiry has been asking for WhatsApp messages for more than a year. Then there are the shifting sands, the changing of stories. In the Salmond inquiry, 4 senior government officials had to correct false statements. The SNP's then Chief Executive was accused of perjury after contradicting his own evidence 3 times. And in relation to COVID, Humza Yousaf, who really should be here today, and Shona Robison have been forced to change their story after the inquiry demanded that they correct the record to this Parliament. Then there are the stalling tactics. In the Salmond inquiry, they delayed everything until the last minute. Access to crucial legal advice was refused time and time again in defiance of 2 votes in here. It was only when my party brought a vote of no confidence in John Swinney, then Deputy First Minister, that some of the advice was finally released. We see the same with the COVID inquiry. Now, as then, it is up to the Scottish Conservatives to use every parliamentary lever available to us. Now, as then, the SNP have misled and disrespected Parliament. They also disrespect the people of Scotland. So, MSPs from every party, and including the SNP, can today join us in holding them to account by backing our motion. Thank you.